Now, Small Business Tuesday continues with Switzer.
Hello, I'm Peter Switzer. Welcome to the program which puts you in touch with the best and brightest minds in the business. On tonight's show, while we wait for this crazy stock market to throw off the nervous Nellies, let's try to identify some good value microcaps with UBS's Joel Fleming. We'll get the latest stock strategies with Contango Asset Management's George Baburis. How do we play the Fed? Well, how do we play the Fed given the strange decision last week? George will be answering that question. The CEO of Pact and Sand, Michael Paul, will help us take the temperature of the economy right now. We'll head to luxury end of town with Simon Westcott of Lux City Guides, and our in-house cardiologist, Dr. Ross Walker, will tell us how to take statins safely and just how dangerous are soft drinks and a little bit of alcohol. Is it cancer causing? That's a big question. Stay with us for the next hour and we'll bring you all the latest corporate news and market analysis, plus learn some valuable lessons from Australian success stories. If you have any questions for me or our guests, email them to switzer@switzer.com.au. You can follow me on Twitter and the handle is @PeterSwitzer. But first, 1 week's consumer confidence lift following the arrival of Malcolm Turnbull as PM is only a 1 week boost, but the ANZ Roy Morgan consumer sentiment lift of 8.7% is the biggest ever in the 7-year history of the statistic. Now, I know you can't trust a week's data, but you have to say it is a nice start, and Malcolm probably has about 100 days to live up to these high expectations. I've said before that I think the economy is on the improve, albeit slowly, and so this was a good leadership poll to win. I also suspect before Christmas there will be some better stock market news, and the benefits of the lower dollar are bound to lift economic growth and some companies' bottom line. Well, it will be interesting to see if media outlets are prepared to give this headline a good piece of good news run tomorrow, because if Malcolm brought a confidence slump, you can bet it would have been a huge story. I've long argued that Canberra has not always got the economy right under Tony Abbott, but the media have been accessories in bringing our economy down. So let's hope that Malcolm can get the press to go along for the ride in trying to pump up this economy of ours. It will help our share prices as well. Okay, the S&P ASX 200 index looks like it's locked into this 5,000, 5,400 band. So what are some companies that could defy this go-nowhere trend? Joel Fleming is Portfolio Manager, Microcap Fund, UBS Global Asset Management. So let's see what he's going for in the microcap space. Thanks for coming on the show, Joel.
Thanks, Peter.
So what's your feeling, mate? Do you think we are trapped in like 5,000 to 5,400?
It does feel like we're in a bit of a trading range at the moment, that's for sure. I mean, we've been through the reporting season, which is obviously a good time to meet with management, have a look at the annual accounts and get their feelings on the next 12 to 18 months. And it's certainly cautiously optimistic, I would describe. Revenue growth still really hard to come by, and there's a lot of cost cutting continuing to take place. And we know that this can't continue to go on forever.
Yeah.
Businesses, I think, are struggling to have the confidence to invest. And it's always worth pointing out that in the microcap space, these are businesses which aren't as correlated to the rest of the economy. They're often doing things which mean they're growing their markets or they're growing into new markets, which means their ability to grow their top lines and in a relative sense look like they're continuing to grow their business compared to the broader market.
Does it make it easier for you to do the analysis? That in actual fact, all you've got to do is be certain there's a market there, and on the flip side, is this company getting its act together? And that is easier than worrying about whether there's a recession going on or
I think
boom.
Absolutely, but on the other side of the coin, sentiment's an important issue. When things are volatile, people tend to sell their riskier positions, microcaps.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if these businesses are continuing to grow their earnings and continuing to build their franchises, that value will be realised over time. As you said, there's a lot of really interesting markets out there that these businesses play in. A lot aren't successful, but we are dealing with a really large number of potential investments in the microcap space, and they touch all aspects of the economy. So we've got a big group of stocks to be choosing from.
Well, given the fact that we got to 5,995, missed out on my beloved 6,000 by 5 lousy points, and we have come down a long way. Do you think some microcaps have been unfairly treated in the negative sentiment that has prevailed since, I guess, China went a bit scary?
Look, absolutely. And I think, at UBS, we take a long-term view on the value of our investments, and we're looking at microcaps that over time can become multiples of their current size.
Yeah.
So there's always opportunities in this space, and we've got to remember that it's an area where there aren't a lot of fund managers focusing in on microcaps. There aren't a lot of research analysts focusing in on these stocks. So if you're prepared to do the work and focus on stocks of this size, then you can really find some hidden gems in this area.
How many would you have in your portfolio?
Diversification is really important. So we would hold about 40 stocks in our microcap portfolio, and they're across sectors, and that provides an important balance to the risks of investing in what is a riskier segment of the market.
Can an individual just cherry pick that particular fund and slam 100 grand in there?
Well, it depends on the portion of their overall portfolio, what their...
But you guys don't stop individual investments. You don't have to be going to a UBS advisor to access your portfolio.
Absolutely not. It's a $20,000 minimum investment.
Yeah.
And for those investors that focused on trying to find some long-term capital growth in their portfolios, we think microcaps is a really interesting space.
Yeah, certainly if you're someone who's got a nice core, safe pack of shares and you want a bit of alpha, going for a diversified portfolio like yours, probably a good idea.
Absolutely. And it's very difficult to cherry pick one or two names given the inherent risk in this sector.
It's pretty easy to pick a Ramsey or a Seek of tomorrow.
It'd be nice if we could all do that. But
a Domino's or a Blackmores. All right, let's go and talk about some of the companies you like right now then.
Okay. Interestingly, the two I'd like to talk about today are based in Adelaide, and they're
South Australians be glad to hear that. They need some positive stimulation.
Absolutely, but these are two interesting little stocks, different sectors of the market, but big growing international market presence, really good products and growing off a low base. So these are some of the trends that we like to look for, of course with good management and the fact that these businesses are sustainable. The first one's Prophecy International.
Prophecy International.
It's a very prophetic name, I know.
Yes. It's quite a highfalutin name too.
Market cap of around $110 million.
Yep.
Ticker is PRO. And interestingly, this is in the area of cybersecurity. Now, if you speak to any corporate, any government today, one of the big issues that the boards have is on the security of their networks. And most businesses are increasingly becoming more digital, requiring more investment in IT, and protecting those businesses is absolutely key. We've seen some of the ramifications from hacking and things like this. This is a real concern and a real focus. Prophecy has a software product which allows an organisation to be compliant in terms of understanding who's accessing data, when they're accessing the data, and making sure that the IT department has a full knowledge of what's happening on their network.
So it's like a data surveillance software, isn't it? No one gets in, but they will be checked out.
Absolutely, and that's really important. And we're not talking about large $5 million contracts on this software. They tend to be between $10,000 and $250,000.
So a lot of SMEs could afford it, where obviously it's an important risk management issue.
Absolutely, and the other thing is it means that it doesn't have to go to the highest levels for sign-off on that kind of expenditure. So if you think about things like the banking system and the use of credit cards and things like that, you have to be compliant, and those standards continue to increase. So Prophecy are in a really nice position in terms of regulation and compliance is driving the requirement for a product that they have that works really well. It works across multiple software licenses, and we just think it's an area that has a really nice thematic behind it. It's a business with net cash, it pays a dividend, and we see a very bright future.
How long has it been going for?
It's been around for around 10 years, I think.
That's a track record.
Absolutely. It started in software for billings for utilities and also running registries for birth, deaths and marriages. They bought a small business based in Canberra called Intersect Alliance, and that's where this Snare software has come from. So that's certainly one to keep an eye on.
It's funny, Adelaide and Canberra can be very IT and high-tech savvy, can't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that over the years. All right, what's the second one?
The other one is Alex Medical Lasers. So again, this is a a business in Adelaide that produces lasers for eye surgeons, basically. So if we think about ageing populations and we think about diabetes-related eye disease, glaucoma, cataracts, these are all issues which continue to increase in their scale.
Yeah.
And they produce lasers which help to improve people's circumstances who suffer from these kind of diseases.
Yeah.
What's really interesting about this product is they've continued to invest, and there's an eye disease called age-related macular degeneration.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
Which is a big, big issue. And they've got a product...
In fact, I had Ida Buttrose on the program last week talking about it. I think she's the patron of it. Yeah.
Okay, so, and they have a product which is currently in trial, but it's being worked on, used by, particularly in the Netherlands, a couple of eye surgeons there, and having some really good results. And we just think that they're producing a product that over time, it's addressing a need which continues to grow in its importance. And, you know, there aren't a lot of competition in this area. A lot of people use pharmaceuticals, which we think over time there's scope for them to continue to grow their market share by selling these lasers. And it's a little business, market cap of around $40 million, which we think is entering a sweet spot over the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, and a company like this also is a takeover target as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of the time in microcaps, you take the view that the market will realise that value and it will move up through the indexes, or, as often the case, someone will come in and buy it because it is an interesting technology or something that they can feel that can add to their market proposition. The other thing is, at the moment, a lot of companies do have a lot of cash on balance sheet. We've seen a few takeover offers in the Australian market, and that's certainly a trend we would expect to see continue.
One last question before we go. Do you have a feeling that before the end of the year we'll see the market challenge that 5,400 cap?
Look, I think so. I think so. As you said in your introduction, I think that there's early signs of confidence there, and we'd expect the market to be heading higher over the next 6
Joel,
months.
I like a guy who supports my positivity. Thanks for coming on the show, mate.
Thanks, Peter.
Some interesting ones. That's Joel Fleming from UBS. After break, we'll see how George Babouris is playing stocks following the Fed's market-rocking decision.